Good morning. A lot to unpack here. This is the Ring of Fire. These are earthquakes over the last 100 years or so. Associated tsunami, those are the purple areas. This is how many earthquakes we have. This is something we call the Ring of Fire, which is, it's where the subduction zones are. So all these areas, subduction zones are where the Pacific plate sinks below the heavier continental plates, and it dives down. It creates volcanoes. Usually there's volcanoes in that zone. This volcano eruption today in Russia is very much related to this subduction earthquake, 8.8, a huge one in Russia. So the purple, see, this is 2004. I think you can see the number down here. So right there, maybe you won't be able to see it, but this is the Ring of Fire. This is where the strongest earthquakes in the world happen. They happen in other earthquake faults. There's transcurrent faults or transform faults, but typically it's the subduction zones that get you the biggest earthquakes. This is 1901 to current time. There's a number of earthquakes, but you see how much of it, the big circles represent big earthquakes, right? It's really rudimentary, but they occur in this what we call in geology the Ring of Fire. And that it's no accident that the quake yesterday was in that zone, because what happens, and if you can follow this, when the land subducts, it's pushing down. The plates move at like 2 inches a year. So add that up over a couple of years, over 10 years, you got 20 inches. That's over 1.5 feet, right, of movement. So let me push this through too. I'll start this one up in a minute. But the movement's constantly happening. So earthquakes are unavoidable. I'm not fear-mongering here. I'm just saying this is how this goes. So these subduction plates come down. The Pacific plate dives underneath, in this case, the Eurasian plate. And it pushes back on the heavier, more robust landscape, the top plate, the continental plate, and then what happens is the top plate bends, spring loads down, pops, pops. That subduction creates a pop, and that's what we have happening. That's what happened in Russia. That's why the quakes can be so big, because you're moving, who knows how much, you can measure it, but large amounts of land mass, and you're thrusting it upward, some cases 4 or 5 feet. And that has happened along our coast as well. So from that you get huge earthquakes, but from that you also get, when that land pops up, it pops the ocean up like that. And that's what happened yesterday. So here is an example of a tsunami that came from a subduction zone. This is 1964, the Alaskan quake. I was actually in Fort Bragg that day and that night for the quake. You're going to see the earthquake up in Alaska. You'll see it initiate up here. We're looking at propagation of the tsunami waves. They move about 500 miles an hour. So there they go. And it's coming from this area. It matters which direction you're getting into. So at 4 hours, you're all the way to San Francisco. In 4 hours from Alaska, that wave has moved. The wave moves about 500 miles an hour. It slows down when it gets into shallow land. And you can see the heavier waves moving south. So this is a reanimation. This is how it would have looked yesterday, but this, in that case, coming from the west. And you see how the waves get going. And they really mix up the currents. They get caught up. They, just like a regular wave, they kind of cross promote. There's a lot of cross chop. And you get all sorts of activity. That's why there's still tsunami warnings out there, because you don't know what's happening in the open ocean. We have an idea, but we really don't know what's exactly going on in terms of, there's not that many data points. So that is the Alaskan quake, and you can see here we are quite a bit of time after the earthquake, and you see the waves still, see that? You still see this activity. So now this next map, I'm just kind of showing you, this is where earthquakes happen. This is the Cascadia Fault. This is one I talked about the other day on my YouTube video. This was 9.2 in 1700. And there it is. There's a subduction zone off of California, off of Alaska. That's a subduction zone. And this earthquake or this wave isn't going to take 5 hours, 6 hours to get here. It's going to take an hour. in many cases, Crescent City, you guys, you're going to have a matter of minutes. So this is a historical quake. This was estimated at 9.2, and these are the waves. It's a subduction zone. Pop, water goes up, and it creates this. And you can see the propagation of this wave. You see what it did to the Hawaiian Islands. It's not fantasy land, but it had to be remodeled. This is a big quake because there weren't instrumentation back in 1700. So they just recreated the geologists. But you see how the ocean, hours later, continues to be rife with movement. So I think I got one more, do I? No, that's good. So okay, so those are the animations. Now we come to what really happened around here. We've got, this is, where are we? We're in Monterey. This line, the blue line represents the wave, okay, the height of the wave. The height of the wave. They're just going 1 to 4 foot, the general wave pattern. And then when you get to about, about 1 in the morning, you start to see, midnight, 1 in the morning, you start to see these perturbations, right? Water goes out, water comes in. That's what tsunamis do. They pull the water out, and the water comes in. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Let's see, we'll go up to the next one. So that was Monterey. This is a perturbation. This is actually the tsunami. The blue line represents mean, what the waves are doing, and this represents the height of the tsunami wave, which was at about 3 in the morning on yesterday. And this is for, I believe this is for Point Reyes, California. And look at how long that it's like ringing a bell, right? The waves are still jacking around for hours later. And you see the tide. I actually visually watched the Surfline cameras last night on the North Shore of Hawaii and watched the water go out. And that's what that is, because right before the big wave comes, right here, that down point, that's the water receding because it has to make room for the water coming in. Water doesn't come in like a wave. It's not like pipeline. It comes in as a big storm surge. So I guess, that's just I just wanted you to see pretty much kind of what we're up against here. It's not fear mongering. I got accused of that when I made my earthquake video. It's not. It's the plates move at about 2 inches a year. That develops strain. Transcurrent faults, the San Andreas fault, which goes like this, creates earthquakes that can be big. The ones that can be really big are the ones like on the Cascadia, on the Juan de Fuca plate, subducting underneath the North American plate, or like the one in Russia yesterday, or like the one in Alaska. These earthquakes, these subduction zone earthquakes, are the largest, up into what we saw in 8.8, and they create the largest tsunami potential as well. So there you go. And I think, let's see, can't do that. I just want to give you a quick one. So again, just be prepared. It is just what it is. When this one goes off the Cascadia, or when the Juan de Fuca plate cracks finally and dives and creates that whiplash from the North American plate, it's going to be a big damn earthquake. It's going to be a big one. And, and it'll happen. I don't know if it's going to happen in our lifetime. It'll be a big one. It'll be a big tsunami, and we just have to be ready. Here is the fog along the coast today, right to the weather. Here's the fog along the coast today. And you can see it, kind of sheared off. Got some clearing up along the north coast. I haven't heard many reports of damage or anything like that, fortunately, up on the north coast, which makes me happy. I always worry about Crescent City. I'm sure there was fallout from it. And you get a wave into San Francisco Bay, right? It comes in, one of the last quakes we had brought a surge into San Francisco Bay, and it lifted the boats off the moorings. It broke all the moorings, and the boats started to drift free. Berkeley Marina as well. Santa Cruz Harbor. Okay, so here is the marine layer shallower than it was yesterday. The inversion shows it shallower, and not really. It's more deeper than it was yesterday. Sorry, I was thinking about earthquakes. This is yesterday, so it was shallower yesterday, and it's deeper today. So it says it's around 2,000 feet, which I guess that works, right? 2,000 feet. So that's the profiler. What are we talking about here? I should have got right into weather, but I was so fired up just watching that. I mean, these are the forecast highs for today. Watching that watching it in real time last night in Hawaii. I have friends in Hawaii. I was watching the live cameras. The Surfline cameras were awesome, especially the one at Gas Chambers. You go back, pull it up. If you get Surfline, pull it up to about, I can't remember what time it was. It was about, I can't remember. You'll find it, but you'll see the water recede. It's not a big wave that comes in, but you'll see the water go out. That's your indication. In Hilo, Hawaii, these are the highs for today. A lot like yesterday, a little cooler. These are the highs for tomorrow, a lot like today. In Hilo, Hawaii, back in the 50s, they had a tsunami, the first pictures I'd ever seen, and it shows the water receding greatly, and people, these are old black and white pictures, shows people going out on the reef, because all of a sudden you can pick up shellfish, and it's like you've never seen this before, and they didn't realize, and then this wave came in, and I believe people were injured and perhaps killed from that. But Hilo, Hawaii, you can look that up. So anyway, yeah, it's part of our reality, man. It just is. It is. It's part of our reality. And I'm sorry to tell you that it's going to happen. It's not going to stop happening. So we just be ready for it. And you know, I don't know what to tell you. And there's other ways to get earthquakes. This is the Sundial Bridge in Reading. They're going to hit 97 or so today. Nice day. I love how much people use this bridge. It's actually working sundial. Yeah, it's going to happen someday, and there'll be more earthquakes, and that's just how it goes. But just be prepared and pay attention to your environment and your surroundings. And no, like Hawaii had, 5 hours warning last night. The west coast of the United States had more than that, 8 or 9 hours warning. But this Cascadia subduction zone, you're not going to have that long, but you'll still have some warning. And that's, so you want to pay attention. You want good news sources. That's one of the other things. It's a live camera. And then this is the model. I'm just going to roll through it. So, right, more of the same. Tries to get very warm on Thursday the 7th. Warms up maybe some low 100s on Thursday the 7th of August. But then it kind of crops down again. So that it's really, and then it really wants to warm up here on the 11th. That would be a huge warm up if all that scud were to go away. I'm not counting on it. But right now we're steady as she goes with this mild weather pattern. We do have red flag warnings up in Northern California for the potential for thunderstorms this afternoon, right? So there's red flag warnings there. Lake Tahoe will get some thunderstorms this afternoon. And then tomorrow afternoon, some more thunderstorms, and then gone. That's the North American model. And yeah, nature's awesome, man. It's awesome. But, I was going to say, and this is one of the things that worries me. I was watching the news last night trying to triangulate data and information, because the internet is helpful, but it's not helpful because there's so much noise. And television, mainstream media, I feel like they missed the boat on this thing. I was able, I'm watching live people down at Haleiwa Harbor on their cell phones, live broadcasting the water surging into the river, the river mouth, the iconic bridge there, and filling the harbor. Watching that live, and I'm watching at the same time. I'm trying to watch the TV, and I'm like, they're just blathering. They're not talking to experts. They're just talking. And I was like, you guys, if there's ever a time for media to step up, it's something like this, because you could have an asteroid strike, or just a small one hits the ocean. You're going to throw up a big tsunami. People need to know where to go. I know it wasn't that big yesterday. I thought it was good size and impressive, but at least not that big in California. But people need to know where to go. They have to know where to go, and you got to be able. So if you're not going to give us good information on the tsunami, then give us good information on where to evacuate to. Or if I live in the avenues of San Francisco, should I flee my house? That's where all the confusion comes from. There must have been somewhere, some municipality crushed it. I looked and I didn't see it. And I think if there's ever a time for these people to earn their money and whatever, OES or whatever, and I'm sure they did great, but I didn't see it. And I'm thinking, if I have my friends out, and I was on the phone all night last night with people in the Sunset District, people down, I have my sons in Costa Rica, my daughter's in San Francisco, I got friends in Hawaii, they're texting me, no, it's not, what's going to happen, and I'm like, okay, I think this is going to happen, but you need a local presence there that can say, get up the hill, And I know everybody was trying. I'm not being harsh. I'm just like, it needs to get more robust, the response. Okay, red flag warnings. Seen these before. That's for thunderstorms. The tsunami alert, a watch still along the coast of California, but obviously diminishing a little bit. But remember, that volcano eruption in Russia for sure connected to the subduction zone. Subduction areas are where you see the Cascade Range, the volcanoes. They are formed. So for a few miles from the earthquake, I don't know what the distance was from that volcano that erupted this morning. Yeah, the Earth's talking to you. Okay, here is the air quality stuff from the Canadian fires. We talked about that yesterday. Here is red flag or heat advisories and heat warnings. Wow. It's getting better though. It's getting squished down. There's a trough up here, so you can kind of see it flattening out from the last 3 days. So it's going to get a little bit better out there, but that's still my main concern. We can go to the surface map as we did yesterday, and we're going to pick a spot and get granular. 95 degrees. Where are we? Just south of Memphis. So 97 degrees temperature, dew point 74, humidity 47%. Wow. See, that's stifling heat. So these areas still under, and you can, this page is bookmarked if you want to find it in my links. But this shows the watches and warnings, and it shows, you can zoom in and get super granular with any one of these, stations, and these are buoy plots outside. So yeah, there you go. Interesting day. Forecast highs for tomorrow. Not as hot, but still very hot in the southeast, but slowly cooling off. Here is the smoke model. I got a window here. I got to put these shades in, but I can see people walk by once in a while. It's kind of, I'm kind of nosy like Mrs. Kravitz. I'm like, what's he doing? Okay, so this is smoke model, and you can see why there are smoke concerns again up in Minneapolis. So if you're traveling, so this forecast is in this analysis is very similar to what we had yesterday and the day before. Not much is changing on the West Coast, and you know when not much changes on the West Coast, not much changes on the East Coast. It's all connected, and so here we are, pretty darn good air quality out west, and then here is the Canadian smoke, right? So that's bad. That's bad. And especially when you get down a little lower, you're getting close. When you get the heat, there's not as much heat up here. It's cooling off, but the smoke is piling up. And I told you yesterday, I think I mentioned this yesterday, but some legislators in the House have gotten together and have approached Canada in sort of an aggressive way, saying, hey, you guys are you guys are letting those fires burn, you're creating all this smoke, and it is having an impact on our communities. And those are millions of people. And smoke is bad. I think it's awesome they're letting the fires burn up in Canada, or they're trying to put them out. I'm not sure what the protocol is up there, because they have a lot of open space. They're probably doing the right thing, trying to clean it out and let it burn. But in the meantime, you are creating health concerns for people, not just thousands, but millions of people. So that's an interesting thing. So it was Republican legislators, and they were just saying, hey, dude, you got to get your fire activity figured out, because it's causing us problems. That's what happens, right? So if that's the same thing that happens with cloud seeding. I talked about that the other day, right? If you seed clouds here, and you're taking rain from someone downstream. You just are. That is, you're taking the moisture out of the atmosphere that would have perhaps made it up over the hill into Idaho. So there is a case to be made for that. And in this case, it's another example of telekinetics, where you're connecting, this wildland fire to people's health in another country, hundreds and hundreds of miles away. And maybe it's not necessary. Here's the red flag warning. That's through tomorrow. And clicking along, now we're to the fun stuff. Near normal temperatures this next 6 to 10 days. That's August 4th through the 8th. Near normal, so a little warmer. And then precipitation. Still not seeing that monsoonal stuff. And I have a theory on that. The low pressure out here has shifted the high pressure that's normally here over to here. And that's why perhaps we're seeing more Texas and New Mexico flooding. I know, because that would be monsoonal moisture normally reserved for us. Could potentially be that. You'll probably hear more of that talk as well. So the weather, not really doing what you think it should do, I guess, or not doing what it typically does. And monsoonal moistures, you get a thermal low at the surface because it gets so hot in the desert Southwest. The air starts to rise. As it rises, it bumps up against the top of the atmosphere, the troposphere, and it spins the other way. It spins clockwise and creates a big high surface aloft. So a surface low can create a big high aloft, thermal high aloft, and it rotates the moisture up. Because they rotate like this. But if that high shifts east, or that low shifts east, the low and the high, but you vertically see it in 3 dimensions, it moves that rain potential. So yeah, okay, so this is just surf, and we're looking at the south swell that's showing up on Friday, Saturday. That looks pretty good. That's a big swell. That's south swell. This is all coming from southern hemisphere storms. And tsunamis, I got to think with tsunamis, they're not really waves. They're waves, but they don't break. Everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna surf it. No, you're not. It's just a big wall of water coming at you. If you ever seen it's just. I mean, I get it can break like a wave if it's got the right bottom country, but most likely it comes in as a giant storm surge, like in Indonesia. That big wall. If you remember that big white water line coming in, it's on Google on video. You can see it, and it's just a push of water. So it's not like surf. It can be, but not really. It's mainly something else. Nobody out surfing today. I think people are kind of staying away from the water. I think I'd stay away from the water today too. This is Cardiff, which is very busy yesterday, but look how unbusy it is today. Because I think people are smart. I think the water's confused. Remember I showed you those animations off the top? Well, those animations showed what I think one of the things they showed convincingly was how disruptive it is in the ocean many hours after the earthquake. Because it just creates, right? It's throwing a rock, it rings like a bell. Here's that moisture now. You see it starting to come in. That's that subtropical moisture that's going to trigger thunderstorms this afternoon. And you see it's getting, see they're getting lower now. As the day gets on, we'll do this in a couple hours, those are all going to be probably towering cumulus clouds. Right now it's just stratocumulus, but there'll be towering cumulus clouds and there'll be thunderstorms. This is Lake Almanor, which is one of my favorites. It's an interesting angle on Lake Almanor, isn't it? Is that Lake Almanor? Yeah, I think it is, but it sure doesn't look like it from that angle. Yeah. No, it's not. Oh God, I got the wrong one. Yeah, that's Honey Lake. That's right. Sorry. I thought it was Lake, God, that sounds like Almanor. That's Honey Lake, which I've never been to. It's kind of awesome looking though, but you can see that cloud moisture as well coming in. That's clearly going to be explosive this afternoon because it's still in the morning. This is Laguna Beach. I talked to my friend Danny McInerney down there, and he said, yeah, we got through it fine. There were, like I showed you earlier, the waves, there was waves detected, but so far so good, no problems. Laguna Beach, today will be in the low 70s. These mushroom fish. So I wonder if is it an accident they look like mushrooms? I don't know. Yeah, you tell me. Look at that. That's awesome. Honest to God. Because I want to do this right, so I'm always kind of, my brain's firing, and I put this here on purpose just to mellow out. I know. Awesome. Thanks for watching today. And again, not fear mongering. It's funny, I got a bunch of that from that earthquake video I did. How is it I call it fact mongering. This is where we live. This is how it operates. Get used to it. And if you can't hang, I get it. Go, move, but don't not be prepared. Don't. You're living with it. Fire, drought, earthquakes, and tsunamis, floods. So we have that. These are puffins. Somebody asked me where the decoy puffin went, and that's a great question. I don't know, unless it's a different camera angle. Puffins. Look how bad they fly. I'm not being a dick, but you see them flying. It's like, dude, come on. They have little teeny wings. They're not made for soaring, man. Look at the little wings on these guys. It's hilarious. That's why they spend so much time in the water, floating. This is the Mojave Desert watering hole. I love this because you never know what the hell you're going to see. So you go to Mojave Desert where you're over 100 and some degrees, sometimes 115. You let this water roll. And you go, hey, everybody come visit. I would do that if I lived out there. And so they put a bunch of, you're getting squirrels that are getting squirrely, so to speak. You got birds. I mean, it'd be fun. I'll bet you, I don't watch this camera near enough, but I'll bet some weird stuff comes in here. Well, there's some weird stuff, and that's just a big squirrel. And fun birds. Because, I mean, if you live in it, right, they need water, man. So that'd be kind of a fun little thing to have something like that where you had access to them. I'm going to recharge the bears here to make sure we got them. Okay, that's fresh. And then these are the salmon that haven't stopped. I don't see a bear today. We did see a bear yesterday. Okay, so we covered a lot. That was a major quake. They happened in subduction zones. We, in California, and the Pacific Ring of Fire, live on in subduction zones. Last night's event was a huge quake because subduction zones have the potential for huge quakes and tsunamis, and huge tsunamis at that. That's historically been the way it has been. And just be prepared for it. The Pacific, everything seems pretty active right now. When you right, they've actually done like teleconnections between Old Faithful and earthquake activity on the other side of the Pacific. I know, they did that years ago, but they realized something happened there, and the guys that changed the timing on how, I guess it's Old Faithful, goes up and down. So it's all connected, man. It's all connected. So what happened in Russia is connected to us, and sure, there's something going on, right? And the volcano is a great example. So again, I embrace it. I think the only thing that could be done better is I wish that the powers that be, whether it be the National Weather Service, Tsunami Warning Center, OES, I think you need to be a little more clear on it. But you may have been, I just didn't see it, man. I was like, you guys, I need to see like in Hawaii, they didn't know where to go. I was watching the news station in Hawaii, and they're like, they were just, you need to get up to higher ground. Well, you should have a map that shows you where people can go, because it's hard to get higher ground in Hawaii. So just more user-friendly stuff, because I think everybody goes into a state of panic when something like this happens, and you really can't, because you're not doing anybody any good. It took a long time. I mean, today everybody's kind of mellowed out because we're safe, but in the moment, it's like, dude, come on, just good information. Give me some scientists. I don't want to hear reporters talking about tsunamis. I really don't. I want to hear scientists. And then we have cameras on every inch of the planet. Let's take some of those cameras live. Surfline.com would have been an awesome resource for any newscast last night, and barely saw it used. I saw it, I was watching it, I could see the receding water on the North Shore of Hawaii. Okay, enough of that. See you later.